Okay, so we are going to start out with a warm-up. I'd like you to go into the warm-up section of your binder, pause the video, copy the 2 questions, do them, and then check back, and we'll go over the answers. Okay, so at this point, you should have at least copied and tried the 2 questions in the warm-up section of your binder. Again, you should have 3 sections: notes, warm-ups, and classwork in your binder. This should be in the warm-up section of your binder. If you've been in class with me, I gave you warm-up papers. If you haven't, just use some line paper for now. All right, so number 1 is an equation. We have parentheses, so we're going to distribute the -4. So we have -4 times -x is positive 4x. -4 times -1, positive 4. And we also have a +6 outside of the parentheses. Doesn't need to be distributed. Equals -30. Okay, so now, before we proceed, 4 and 6 are like terms. So we have 4x plus 10 equals -30. Okay, so I want to isolate the 4x, which means I'm going to subtract 10 from each side. So we've got 4x equals -40. Divide each side by 4, and x is -10. Okay. Number 2, we're multiplying a whole number times 2 fractions. So we want to get everything into a fraction. So we're going to make 3 a whole number by making its denominator 1. All right. To turn any whole number into a fraction, just put it over 1. And then to multiply fractions, we multiply all the numerators and all the denominators. So 3 times 1 times 3, 9, over 1 times 3 times 4, 12. And then we can simplify. 9 and 12 are each divisible by 3. So that's going to be 3/4 in simplest form. Okay. So the next thing we want to look at are equations that have variables on both sides. Before we were doing equations that had a variable either on the left side of the equal sign or the right side of the equal sign, but not both. Here, we've got a variable on the left side and we've got a variable on the right side. So let's take a look at how we handle those. Okay, so step 1 when solving either these equations or an equation that has a variable just on one side is to distribute out. So on the left side here, we're distributing the 6, so that's going to be 6 times 5x, 30x. 6 times -3 is -18. And the right side, 3 times -4 is -12. And 3 times positive 9x, positive 27x. All right. Step 2, combine like terms on the same side of the equal sign. On the left side of the equal sign, 30x and -18 are not like terms. And on the right side, -12 and 27x are like terms. Are not like terms, so there's nothing to do there. Okay. Step 3, get all variables on one side by adding or subtracting. So I'm going to copy what we had in step 1. 30x minus 18 equals -12 plus 27x. So I'm going to get all the variables to one side by adding or subtracting. So I can move the 30x to the right side, or I can move the 27x to the left side. I'm going to move the 27x to the left side. We have a positive 27x, so I'm going to subtract 27x from each side. So we've got 3x minus 18 equals -12. All right, step 4, get all constants to one side by adding or subtracting. So my variable now is on the left side. I want to get this alone, which means I want to move that 18. So I'm going to add 18 to each side. So 3x equals negative 12 plus 18 is 6. And step 5, multiply or divide coefficients. That means you want x alone. We need to get rid of that 3, so we're going to divide each side by 3, and x is 3. Sorry, not 3, 2. Okay. The example in the middle, step 1, distribute. There's no parentheses in this equation, so there's nothing to distribute. Step 2, combine like terms on the same side of the equal sign. On the left side, 10y and negative 12y, those are like terms. 10y minus 12y simplifies to negative 2y. And on the right side, 3y and 5 are not like terms, so we'll keep it as it is. Step 3, get all variables to one side by adding or subtracting. So I'm going to bring all the variables to the left by moving the 3y over. This is a positive 3y, so I'm going to subtract 3y from each side. So that gives us negative 5y equals 5. All right, step 4, get all constants to one side by adding or subtracting. So there's nothing that I can add or subtract to both sides. Step 5, I'll copy what I had before. Negative 5y equals 5. So I want the y alone. I'm going to divide everything by negative 5, which means y is negative 1. Okay, the example on the right, step 1, distribute. So we have the 3 to distribute. So that's negative 9x plus 6 equals negative 2x plus 3x minus 4. Step 2, combine like terms. On the left side, we don't have anything to combine, but on the right side, these are like terms. Negative 2x plus 3x is x, or 1x, minus 4. Step 3, all variables to one side by adding or subtracting. So I can move the negative 9x to the right, or I can move the x to the left. I'm going to move the x to the left by subtraction. Remember, this is a positive x. So negative 10x plus 6 equals negative 4. Step 4, get all constants to one side by adding or subtracting. I'm going to bring the 6 over. I want this alone, so it means I wanted to get rid of the 6. So I'm going to move the 6 over. I'm going to do that by subtraction. Negative 10x equals negative 4 minus 6. Same sign, so we'll add and keep negative 10. And then step 5, multiply or divide. I want to get this alone, so I'm going to get rid of the negative 10, which means x is going to be 1. Okay, we've got another 2 questions below this. All right, I'm going to copy up here so I have more room to work. Okay, first step, always distribute. The left side doesn't have anything to distribute, the right side does, so 9x minus 21 equals 4x plus 24. Step 2, no like terms, so nothing to do there. Step 3, we want to get all the variables to one side. I'm going to get the variables on the left side by subtracting 4x from the right side. 5x minus 21 equals 24. Next, I'm going to isolate the 5x by adding 21 to each side. And we'll finish by dividing each side by 5, which means x is 9. All right, the next one, negative 6w plus 40 equals negative 4 times w minus 6. Negative 6w plus 40 equals, so we have distribution on the right side. Now I'm going to move the 4w to the left side by adding. So negative 6w plus 4w, negative 2w plus 40 equals 24. Okay, I'm running out of room. I'm going to copy over here. All right, now I want to isolate this piece. So we'll subtract 40 from each side. Negative 2w equals negative 16. And we'll finish by dividing by negative 2. So w is 8.